Like,
supplement.
let's say it's Tokyo Ghoul. I don't know if you've seen the anime Tokyo Ghoul, but in Tokyo Ghoul, there are these creatures called ghouls.
Mhm.
They're essentially human. It's just that they have some sort of infection or their genes are mutated where
Like
the
zombies.
only thing they can eat is human flesh. That's the only thing that will sustain them.
Okay. But here's the thing, like what would you do if like we were the ones that were the
I don't
obligate?
see how that I don't see how that's relevant. Are you or are you not in favor of allowing carnivorous cannibal humans to just kill and eat other humans?
You hear me enough?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes,
So
so what's the contradiction with being in support of killing carnivorous animals?
what was that, sorry?
What's the contradiction with being in support of killing carnivorous animals?
Well, I mean, we're supposed to be for like not killing animals like ourselves because we have moral agency. So why would we go around killing certain types of animals?
Because they're carnivores and they kill other animals. Would
Okay, but
you
then
like okay, well wait, Emily, like
we'd have
let's
to
say
kill animals to do that.
sorry?
We'd have to kill animals to do that.
Right? Okay. So, Emily, like hypothetically, if there were a group of human beings who were killing and eating other human beings, and they needed to do this to survive, would it not make sense to kill those human beings?
Okay, but what happens if we're the human beings that need human meat in order to survive?
Well, that's too fucking bad for us.
Um, I don't understand. Like,
Like, wait, so
obviously,
you're
our basic
saying,
survival
wait,
is
so,
different. Our basic survival, obviously, it's a bit different. Like, just say, like, we're against an animal that was going to kill us. It's okay to kill the animal because of self-survival. So if we're like obligate human wars, then we've got a sense of like survival.
so Emily, are you in favor of allowing carnivorous, like, not just carnivorous, carnivorous, what's the fucking word? Cannibal humans to kill other humans?
Well, okay, so I'll just rule this out. So we're talking about humans that don't kill, like that can't just eat like regular meat and or
Yeah,
like
they have to
can't
kill other
eat.
humans.
They have to like that's the only food source they can't supplement it,
Yeah, right. That's right.
so they can't
Like,
supplement.
let's say it's Tokyo Ghoul. I don't know if you've seen the anime Tokyo Ghoul, but in Tokyo Ghoul, there are these creatures called ghouls.
Mhm.
They're essentially human. It's just that they have some sort of infection or their genes are mutated where
Like
the
zombies.
only thing they can eat is human flesh. That's the only thing that will sustain them.
Okay, but here's the thing: like, what would you do if like we were the ones that were the
I don't
obligate?
see how that I don't see how that's relevant. Are you or are you not in favor of allowing carnivorous cannibal humans to just kill and eat other humans?
This is a tough one. I mean, the only thing is like probably not. But then, what would we do if we were the carnivorous ones?
That's not relevant. So if there were carnivorous cannibal humans who the only way they could survive is by killing and eating other human beings, would you just let them kill and eat other human beings?
No.
Okay, then where's the contradiction?
Contradict because we're supposed to be for not killing animals.
Well, you're not in favor of killing human beings, but you literally just said that there's a situation where you would be in favor of killing human beings for overall well being.
Yeah, only if I was the one that was non-carnivorous. Because it would be against my survival.
I don't see. Okay, so wait, you're telling me if. Okay, let's change the hypothetical. Let's say xenomorphs existed. I don't know if you've seen Aliens yet, but
No.
xenomorphs are these alien creatures that kill and eat other human beings, and they also use human beings to like nest and breed and make more of these killer aliens. If there were an alien species um, that saw this going on, would you not be in favor of killing off those, xenomorphs that are killing and eating human beings?
Survival.
Wait, what? Sorry, what's that?
Only in a matter of survival. Like obviously we've got to keep like surviving.
Okay, well, what if you're so you're saying if you were this alien, like this alien race that had the power to stop humans from getting mass murdered by these killer carnivorous creatures, you're telling me you just let that happen?
Oh my god, this is a mind fuck. Oh my god.
Like, I'm just not seeing the contradiction. You seem to be perfectly willing to kill human beings or, like, kill other creatures if it meant saving other creatures. So I don't see what the issue is here. Like, from both a utilitarian perspective and from a rights perspective, I don't see how this could possibly be an issue or create a contradiction, because if we're looking at this from a rights based approach, well, these carnivorous creatures are the ones that are infringing on the rights of, their prey. So whether it's, ghouls from Tokyo Ghoul, like these, hypothetical human beings that are carnivores and cannibals, or xenomorphs, they're the ones infringing on the rights of their prey. And from a utilitarian perspective, this creates less suffering and death. So if this one carnivorous creature has to kill countless other animals to survive, well, killing that carnivorous creature potentially saves, I don't know how many creatures throughout its what would have been its lifetime. So I don't see how this could possibly create a contradiction or be an issue for you, whether you're like a deontologist or a utilitarian.
You would only that you'd kill off like the carnivorous, but obviously you're referring to the omnivores as well, right? Because they also kill. They also kill.
Yeah, there could be some exceptions. Like I know birds, a lot of birds kill and eat insects. I don't see that as really an issue. Like anteaters as well, because most insects are also carnivorous or omnivorous, so that's not really a big deal to me. And insects are pretty low on the sentient spectrum as well. So like a very sentient animal like a bird that's quite intelligent versus a bunch of ants or worms.
Yeah.
Even if they're not carnivorous creatures, I don't know if it's justifiable to end the life of a bird just to save like a worms.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw your stream the other day, and it was like you said something about killing off spiders.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but spiders mostly eat like flies, which and other insects that have very low sentience.
Yeah. Flies do experience like pain though. With spiders, like you could look at like yeah, maybe I'm a little bit agnostic with spiders. I don't know if most of their prey are carnivorous. Like a lot of them just eat like fruit, like small flies. I don't know if those small flies like eat other insects.
If it's
They like
already dead.
spiders kill in the most horrific fucking way possible. Of any insect, I think getting killed by a spider would be the worst. They have a venom where it might not actually kill the fly, it just paralyzes them, and then
Does
they
that mean
keep
it
them
takes
in
away
this
their pain?
web.
Does that mean
Sorry?
it takes away their ability to feel? Like paralyzed can be two different things, whether they can't move or they can't feel or both. Paralyzed
I'm
can
not
be both.
entirely sure. Like, I'm not entirely sure, but
We have to figure that out because if they can't feel pain after that and they have a low sentience.
Yeah, I'm not sure. So I'm not sure if like most spiders have prey that are also carnivorous. Like maybe you could argue in like a spider scenario, they for the most part, like killing spiders would end up being either neutral or net negative. I'm not entirely sure. I'd say probably it would be a net positive because a lot of spiders, like especially large spiders, they end up like they do kill things like birds. So
Yeah,
it
usually quite
like at least for certain
very rare.
species of spiders, you could make an easy argument that we should kill them.
How do you feel about like? I mean, I know you already kind of mentioned it, but I mean, I haven't obviously done any research into this, but like or like a little bit of research into it, but I know that like wouldn't I mean if you decided, let's just say, obviously this is only a philosophical like stance, but if we did decide to okay, we're gonna kill like any animal that is gonna kill other animals, then how would we like how do we deal with like all the consequences? Because everything we do has a consequence, especially when it goes against nature. Like when we introduce a species into like different lands, we always get um, something fuck up, you know. So like, how do we deal with like then other animals like you know breeding lots and like then like I mean, there's a lot of animals that are there's not. I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, I assume there would be a lot of carnivorous and omnivorous like animals in comparison to herbivorous, but I could be wrong. But like, wouldn't that be like majority of like wildlife?
No, I'm pretty sure that's not the case. And I mean,
Sure.
I've already stated this. I've already stated this before. If there's a situation where it would produce a net negative, like there'd be more suffering and death if we killed off a predator species, then I wouldn't be in favor of it, obviously. But like there's a lot of situations where carnivorous species don't really play a vital role in the ecosystem. Yellowstone National Park is a good example. There was that like crappy meme article that was released that was debunked. They reintroduced wolves into Yellowstone for no real fucking
Yeah.
reason, and it had no benefit. Um, so yeah, these like deer and elk and shit were living there just fine without any real predators, and then they just decided to introduce predators, and there was absolutely no benefit whatsoever. So you can find a lot of ecosystems where no, getting rid of predatory species would be just fine. But like with all this considered, like are you still saying there's a contradiction with the stance that we should kill carnivorous animals because it protects rights? So like on a rights violation basis, it protects rights, and from a utilitarian basis, it reduces overall suffering and death. And if there were a situation where killing predatory animals produced more suffering and death, and it'd be a net negative, well then obviously wouldn't do that. So like, do you like, what's the contradiction?
Yeah. I guess it just seems like I guess it's just because it's a new concept. So I've never like I just thought it's a bit weird to feel like obviously with veganism we learned like okay it's not okay to kill animals and we can like obviously we can't avoid not killing any animals. So and then do you know what I mean? And now it's like oh no it's okay to kill animals as long as and it's like we'd still be like killing animals. What about the benefit? Like, what about the welfare for the carnivorous and the omnivorous animals? Like how do we feel about
You
that?
okay? Like again, that's not really part of this equation. Where like if you look at this from a rights based approach, okay, well, what is committing the biggest rights violations? Obviously, the carnivorous animals killing other animals. So, okay, sure, you might be committing a rights violation by killing carnivorous animals, but the bigger rights violation is carnivorous animals killing other animals. So you're protecting more rights than like by violating the carnivores' rights than letting them live.
Yeah, like For me, I'd have to look into the ecosystem and everything. But what about like marine life? How do you feel about
So
killing
I'm
off
agnostic. Yeah, so I'm agnostic on that. I'd
blue?
have to see data on, like how many fish are carnivorous, what would be
A
the
lot.
consequences of killing. Sorry?
A lot.
Yeah, a lot are, I know. I'd have to see like what percentage of fish are carnivorous, what would be, the ecological result of killing all fish, whether it would end up actually causing more suffering or problems for ourselves. So I'm agnostic. I'm not
With
sure.
life because we hear all the time, I could be wrong, but we hear all the time, especially like they mentioned on Seaspiracy, that sharks should be protected because they play a vital role in maintaining the marine ecosystem.
Yeah. Um, okay. I'd have to see data. Like this might be like the fish thing in particular.
Mhm.
I'm sure like oceanic biology and everything is extremely complicated. It might be like way over my head and I'd have to spend a long, long time researching this to like really have an opinion. But right now I'm agnostic. Again, I told you, if there was a case where killing off carnivorous species would end up being a net negative, like it would cause a greater rights violation or it would cause more suffering and death, then I wouldn't be in favor of it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. How do you feel about like alternatives to killing off carnivorous animals? I've heard this like just briefly mentioned. I think it was by Dr. Arvi, and he said about the lab grown meat or like a vegan food alternative scattered throughout. How do you feel about that?
Oh, vegan food scattered throughout. I don't know how practical that would be because you would one like have to ensure that every carnivorous animal ends up getting this vegan food, which could be quite difficult. And on top of that, that might not necessarily stop them from killing other animals. Like they might have a food preference. They might just have like, instincts where if they see something running, they'll just go after, chase it down, kill it, and eat it anyway. So I
Hmm.
don't know if that's really practical. Like I'll give you the example of Tokyo Ghoul. There's pretty much fucking every anime that goes over these potential um, like weird moral issues. So in Tokyo Ghoul, there's the ghouls that have to eat human flesh to survive. Now there are some ethical ghouls who will only kill people who've died naturally, either from like heart attack or disease, or who've killed themselves, and they'll go to like bridges or places where a lot of people kill themselves and just harvest human flesh, and that is an ethical way of eating. The issue is there's a huge portion of ghouls who aren't ethical, who will just go out and kill human beings to eat or for fun, even though there's ethical alternatives. They have like weird taste preferences with which human beings they'll kill. So the normal humans in this universe, they like kind of have to just kill off all ghouls because there's a huge fucking risk of them like so many ghouls not adhering to these ethical principles. So even if there was a way of getting vegan food to a lot of these carnivorous animals in the wild, I don't know if that would really be enough.
But then, well, you also got to face if you're saying okay, that's not a practical solution because of practical reasons, then you've got to also say, how are we going to kill off like every single carnivorous animal as well? Like that's not really
Oh,
practical either.
Avi is in the chat. He just wanted to tell you he never said that spreading lab grown meat around was a viable strategy to control predator populations. He just wanted to say that. Can you just repeat
I
what
said
you
I
just
think it
said?
was Dr. Avi, but I can't remember who it was from.
Right.
Yeah.
But what did you just say?
I think he was discussing with someone else that brought it up. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so like also if we're thinking about practical, how can we like how can we like kill off how is it viable? Just say land animals. to kill off every single carnivorous and omnivorous like species as
It's
well.
extremely viable. We're extremely good at exterminating species. Species extinction is happening at a rate never
Really
before seen
omnivorous though.
because we're so good at poaching. So it's
Yeah,
quite
but
easy.
without
We've killed off plenty of carnivorous species already. One noticeable example is the thylacine.
thylacine. Yeah, but like as in without like it's fine like it's probably easy to kill off animals like bigger animals, but I'm not sure about killing off um like the smaller like
Sure,
the
like ants or something, like something like that. Okay.
no like
Yeah,
mice
like
like, without killing off herbivorous as well. Like we've managed to kill species by accident. We've managed to kill species by accident as well. So
okay.
how we yeah, so I'm just saying like we could like we'd have to have it kill all the species like all of that species without killing off a herbivorous species.
Right, okay, so there could potentially be practical issues, and if there's no practical way of doing it without creating like a greater rights violation or more suffering and death, then like again, I wouldn't be in favor of that. But again, like you're the one who claimed that, my stance was hypocritical. Do you agree now that it's not? Like there's no contradiction?
It's hard for me to imagine like killing off like a whole lot of species to be ethical. So I'd have to
Yeah,
think about
but right, but like you said that my position was contradictory. Do you agree that my position was not contradictory?
maybe just because the whole vegan thing, I feel like it's contradictory to veganism because we always say that. Um,
Yeah,
like
but
we
you have to point out the contradiction. What is the contradiction?
well, veganism is about not harming animals, and yet that contradicts the veganism thing about harming animals, I guess.
So, no, there's nothing in veganism that entails never harming animals. Like, again, if harming an animal resulted in less net harm or less rights violation, then you'd be in favor of that, right? Like, just like how if a human being were a serial killer, like, if killing them resulted in fewer people dying, you'd be in favor of that, correct?
Yeah.
So, no, like being vegan doesn't necessarily entail that you can never harm an animal.
Not never harm, but yeah, it just seems. I'm just saying, like, it just seems a little bit hard for me to wrap my head around saying that
Well,
it's
sure, like it's like the only issue is that I have is you claimed there was a contradiction. You haven't pointed out a contradiction. So even if you still disagree, that's fine, but do you admit that there's no contradiction that you can point out right now?
definitely.
Sorry, what?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I definitely don't think that I can think of a contradiction
Okay.
right now.
Okay,
Yeah,
fair enough.
but it's a
Yeah,
very stuff I've never really thought about.
yeah, like when I first heard of this like concept of killing predators, it was really hard for me to wrap my head around it too. But when I thought about it more, I just got more on board. But if you can come up with any good arguments against it, I'd be willing to hear. So if anybody has any good arguments against killing predatory animals, with keeping in mind that again, if killing predatory animals in a particular situation resulted in a greater rights violation or
Yeah,
more suffering and death, then I wouldn't be in favor of it. So if
yeah,
anybody has an argument,
like marine life and stuff.
yeah, sure. Like I'm agnostic with marine life. I'm agnostic in situations where maybe I don't understand much about the ecological system,
Yeah,
whatever. But yeah, even fundamentally, like I mean, we can talk about this on a purely philosophical level, where assuming there is not a greater rights violation or an increase in suffering and or death if we were to kill predatory species, whether or not it's moral to kill predatory species. We don't even have to go into the practicality of actually doing it. So if anybody has an argument, I'm willing to hear it. But thanks for coming on. If you want to debate this again some other time, just message me.